Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And it's time for Crimson Live, presented to you by Alabama One Credit Union, a proud partner of Alabama Athletics. Today, we're talking with the Director of Athletics for the University of Alabama, who joins us from his office, Greg Byrne. And Greg, it's first of all just great to see you. Roll Tide. How's everything going in Tuscaloosa?
Good to see you too, Roger. We're doing well. You know, taking each day one at a time, and just trying to do our very best to move forward. And but obviously paying attention to everything that's going on out in our country and our world right now, and trying to support our student athletes and coaches and staff, and give something to our fans too.
Well, it's almost been a month since we got the news leading up to the Georgia game that Coach Saban and also you yourself tested positive for COVID-19. Can you just take us back to that week, and then what's your path to recovery been since then?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've had a number of people that I'm close to have said, "Man, you were the most cautious person I know." As far as I'd been to I think 2 or 3 restaurants since March. I've been really diligent about mask wearing, washing my hands, and Roger, I think I got it, in a 5-minute car ride is where I think it may have come from, and where I was drinking water, and so it was something that. When it was interesting, the day that I ended up finding out I was positive, I had said this once before, but all my old sports injuries were just on fire that day, like nothing I'd ever felt. And then later that morning, I start having kind of a fever and chills. And right when that starts happening, Jeff Allen, our head trainer, walks in and says, "Hey, you tested positive." And I said, "Well, anybody else?" And he said, "Yeah, Coach Saban." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's see, we've got to make sure, let's start figuring out how we're going to manage all this." And so, immediately I left and went home, and Coach did the same. And I felt pretty crummy for about 3 days with chills and fevers. And then after that, for literally about a month, I had the worst fatigue I've ever had in my life, and it just wouldn't go away. It was just day after day after day, and I'd be on one Zoom call for a half hour, and I'd have to go lie down for 3 or 4 hours afterwards. And so, I think anybody that tells you this is like the flu, it's, at least in my experience, and I know a lot of other people who've had it much more serious than I did. I'm not sure if that's a fair way to describe it. So, if you haven't had, I know, and fortunately, there's a lot of people that are asymptomatic, and that's great, and I hope as many people are that way as possible. But having gone just through what I've done, and I can tell you my issues were a lot less severe than a lot of people. It was not fun, and try to do all you can to avoid this thing. But I'm doing better. I actually did Peloton this morning for the first time in almost a month and a half, and got through it. So that was a good step this morning.
That's certainly good to hear you're able to make that class and start moving forward. And COVID-19 certainly impacted your schedule. It's also impacted Alabama football's schedule with the LSU game last week getting postponed. Can you kind of take us through the communication you had with either LSU or the SEC about that game, and then what the discussions are like trying to play the Tigers maybe down the road?
Yeah, well, we knew, my days blend together, I think Tuesday last week that they were having some issues with their numbers down in Baton Rouge, and obviously we talk regularly to the conference office and daily. Probably last week I was talking to them 3 or 4 times a day. I also talked to Scott Woodward, their athletic director, a couple times, and we obviously talk with each other about different things that that are going on. Obviously, I've done that this week with Kentucky too, and so. It's something that we had to, as soon as we found out, I called Coach Saban, I told him, and knew it was going to be released shortly after Coach and I talked. And so I know there is a goal to play a 10-game season, and if we're fortunate enough to keep moving forward, which that's what we want to do, and we're very focused on that. I think there would be the opportunity sometime between the end of the season and the December 19th, which is the SEC championship, which, we got to take care of business this week against Kentucky and not get the cart ahead of the horse. But there could be another game on the 12th. And I know there's discussion about games on the 19th as well, December 19th, the same day as the SEC championship. So, my conversation with the conference and with my peers is just doing everything we can to continue to move forward. And we were hoping to play last week against LSU. That didn't happen. And so once we found that out, obviously our attention, I know Coach kept practicing for a while and didn't change the routine a whole lot. But, now we're focused on trying to have a game this Saturday against the University of Kentucky. And hope, right now, here we sit on Monday, things are positive for that. Not a good use of terms these days, positive.
Sure.
Things are on schedule for the game against the University of Kentucky. I should say it that way instead.
Well, we like hearing that. We like knowing that we'll have football once again at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And it's not just been football that's been dealing with reduced capacity. It's been your volleyball team, soccer as well. Just what have you thought of all the steps taken by the athletic department to keep fans, players, and staff safe when there are home games in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, I actually just went to watch our volleyball team play this afternoon. We got the win yesterday against LSU. Unfortunately, we didn't today. But it's been a big effort by everybody. We were over there at Foster, and we had to have our kids buy in, our coaches buy in, our events staff. Still, we need them there to help pull off a contest. The great majority of the fans in Foster were doing everything we asked them to do, and that's really, I want to tell you, we've been pleased overall with the way our fans have been at Bryant-Denny too. I've had a lot of comments from my peers around the country, from the conference office, from other groups, just saying, hey, there's been a lot of hard work by everybody to pull off this season so far. And, it takes everybody doing their part, and we really do appreciate the way our fans have responded. And it's not ideal. I realize that. And a lot of inconveniences that we're all going through, some of which a lot of people not even been able to go to the games, which we hate. We want people at the games. That's really a great thing for our program, for our kids, and the camaraderie of our community. But it's just different this year. It looks different. And one of the things, Roger, we just tried to say is, we understand that there's inconveniences for a lot of people, and we don't want that for anybody. We really don't. At the same time, too, what can we do just to move forward and keep, for a while in July, I didn't know if we were going to have a football season, fall sports season. And, as we got closer to it, I thought, okay, we may pull this thing off, and we have so far, but we can't take our foot off, any of the steps that we're taking. We've seen numbers increase throughout the country right now, and in some communities, their medical systems are being taxed. We've heard from our medical oversight calls with the SEC that, that they're very concerned about the chain of medical supplies and testing and hospital beds and all those things. And you just miss one piece of that, and there could be a lot of challenges that come along that I think most of us, including myself, maybe don't always think about. So anything we can do right now to be very respectful to one another and be respectful of the virus is a good thing, and allow us to continue to move forward as a department and as a university and community.
And moving forward as well to basketball season, men's and women's basketball will be starting coming up next week inside Coleman Coliseum. And kind of along those lines, what will basketball look like at the University of Alabama this year?
Well, it'll be just like everything else. It's going to be different, and I'm excited for both of our teams. We were on the brink of getting into the women's tournament for the first time in a while. We may have come up just short if we were able to finish the season. The men's team obviously had a lot of change since last year. I talked to a lot of longtime Alabama basketball fans, and I think they're as excited for what Coach Oates and his staff have put together and the way the kids have bought in. I got to watch them practice a couple Saturdays ago. We got some guys. I mean, they can play, and there's going to be a lot of excitement to it. Obviously a lot of our fans are going to have to watch it on TV. But if we're fortunate enough to keep moving forward, which I think we will be, it's going to be probably about 15% capacity in Coleman, somewhere around there, to have it socially distanced. We are going to ask everybody to wear masks the entire time if they're eating or drinking something. But we just ask everybody to be respectful to one another. But we do those things. I think we got a chance to keep moving forward and have ourselves a men's and women's basketball season. Gymnastics isn't that far off. We've got indoor track going on. Looking at the picture behind me, hopefully I got all the teams represented. Our rowing team isn't too far off from competing, and we want to keep moving forward and get it to the spring where I know we're going to have a really good softball team, and I'm excited about what's going on with our baseball program too. And that's what we want to do, Roger. One of the things across the board, we've had a lot of success in a lot of different sports. But I tell our coaches, I tell our staff, I tell our student athletes, at Alabama, if we're going to keep score, we might as well try to win. And I want us to, and I know our fans want us to be really good in whatever we do. And excited that, when you look at our calendar of the sports year, I think this year we have a chance to have some excitement throughout. And let's do everything we can to keep moving forward.
And wrapping up fall sports, we mentioned volleyball earlier was able to wrap up today against LSU. The soccer team saw its run in the SEC tournament come to a close. We've seen events as well for the golf team, cross country. Just overall, what have been some of your thoughts with our fall sports?
Yeah, obviously the men's golf team won over in Arkansas against the Blessings tournament. Excuse me. Our women's team actually didn't have as strong a fall as what we'd like, but we have a young woman coming in at this semester that should really help the team and get to the places that we want to be. Our tennis programs have had some positive steps, which are really good for us. And then I remember going to our first soccer game and just us being out there competing, and that was fun to see. And volleyball got delayed a little bit, and then obviously with everything we've been the getting the football season going, and knew it would be a roller coaster ride throughout, and it has been. But we have been very focused, and I'm proud of all the efforts of our coaches, of our Coach Saban and his leadership, and the staff, and the kids of doing everything we can to continue to move forward safely, and been proud of everybody's efforts. And so it's been a group effort. Had great leadership from our conference, and Greg Sankey, our commissioner, our president, Dr. Bell, and then we have great, and you hear me say it all the time, we've got great support from our chancellor and our trustees too. And that's one of the great things about the University of Alabama. There's a ton of them, but we have a unified leadership, and that gives us a chance to continue to move forward. And that's one of the things that continues to make the university so special.
When we talked in the offseason getting ready for this fall semester, we talked a lot about the discipline that's going to be required, not only from the staff, but especially the student athletes. Now that you've been able to see it for a few months be implemented, just what can you tell us about what these student athletes are able to do, dealing with all the daily testing, dealing with the class schedule that doesn't look anything like normal, just dealing with being a college student during a time like this?
Well, it's unique for them, that's for sure. And the great majority of them have adjusted about as well as what we could hope for, and that's all we can ask. And then we need to make sure we do everything we can to support them. And although we have had to look for efficiencies in our department because of financial shortfalls that we have, I'm really proud that we have been able to. We had some adjustments in summer school, but over that, what we've been able to do from the student athletes, from an academic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, from a social standpoint, and nutrition and strength conditioning and mental health, all those things, we've really been able to continue to do that at a high level. And we're fortunate for that. And I vowed when we were going through these challenges, we were going to find efficiencies in our program, but we could not negatively impact the experience of our student athletes. And it's really cool, Roger. One of the things I love about what I get to do is, get to be around these 18 to 22-year-olds, and when you see what they are able to do physically in their sport, you forget that they're kids, and it's just, they've been so appreciative of the ability to continue to move forward, and it's something that we've tried to spend a lot of time talking with them and supporting them, and it's been. It put us in a position where we've been able to get to this spot right now, but it's taken a lot of adjustments from everybody involved, especially our student athletes.
Well, Greg, as we start to wrap things up, just what's your final message to Alabama fans right now, as we still have a long way to go in the football season, a lot of the other fall sports starting to wrap up, but I know everyone's excited that basketball season's almost here.
Yeah, I tell you, first of all, we appreciate you very much. We had a lot of people who were in the position who, obviously if you weren't in a position, we didn't want you to do it. To help with our Crimson Core Fund, to help with those things I just talked about, from those foundational support of our student athletes. We're going to continue to do that in every way we possibly can. And at the same time, too, like I tell our student athletes, let's do everything we can each day to move forward and do it safely, support one another, respect one another. And, it's been great, whether it's the games at Bryant Denny and The Georgia game I missed. The Mississippi State game I was there, but didn't feel very good even then at that game. And but the other times I've been around our fans and I've seen them, which hasn't been a lot, but I still have been able to have some communication through different ways with our fans. Just appreciate each and every one of you and the passion and love that you have for our university, for our kids, for our program, and what the Alabama Crimson Tide means to so many. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to safely continue this year. And, I think people are really excited about our basketball season. Basketball season's coming up ahead. Obviously, a great tradition here from our gymnastics program and a number of our other sports, and we're going to be really anxious to see what the spring sports season looks like too. And again, but it's all of us doing that together to give us the best chance to move forward. And we appreciate each and every one of you.
Well, Greg, we appreciate the job you're doing, and we're certainly glad you're on the mend from your time experiencing COVID-19. Just thank you for joining us today. We'll be visiting with you coming up about once a month here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. So just thank you again for your time, and Roll Tide.
Thanks, Roger. Roll Tide, everybody.
All right, that was Director of Athletics for the University of Alabama, Greg Byrne. Thank you for watching the Crimson Tide Sports Network.